All right, we're at the pod. We are here with Life on the Ave. We are not on the Ave right now, which that's our office. We are on Delaware Ave. So we are not on the Ave. We are mobile today at the Blood Bank of Delmarva's The Pod. I'm sitting here with Tony Prado. Did I say it right?
Yes, you did.
I did. First try.
Done.
So thank you so much for having us. We're so excited to be here. I'm going to quick get into a background of Blood Bank of Delmarva, and then we'll kind of start our chat.
Sounds great, Mary Kate.
All right, cool. So founded in 1954, Blood Bank of Delmarva is a nonprofit community-based blood center that provides life-saving blood and blood products to 1.5 million people in 19 hospitals on the Delmarva Peninsula. With donor centers in Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Virginia, the blood bank serves our community by meeting the needs of patients, hospitals, and donors with safe, high-quality blood products and related services. Blood Bank of Delmarva is calling on new and returning donors to make blood donation part of their holiday tradition and give the gift of life this holiday season. The demand for blood often spikes due to an increase in travel-related incidents, routine surgeries, and other emergencies. Donations of all types are needed, but especially from type O donors. Recognizing that the average person is willing to travel only 10 minutes or 10 miles to donate blood, Blood Bank of Delmarva is prioritizing convenience and bringing life-saving opportunities to every corner of the Delmarva area, making it easier for communities far from established... making it easier for communities far from the established donor centers and participate in this life-saving mission. To help make donating easier than ever, Blood Bank of Delmarva has been operating the pod, which we are in now, since October 7th. The blood donation pods are portable donor centers equipped with comfortable donor beds, climate-controlled environment, and entertainment options, including access to streaming services and music to keep donors entertained throughout their donation process. So we are in the pod now. And welcome, Tony.
Right. Thank you, Mary Kate.
Yes.
It's great to be here with you here in wonderful Hockessin, Delaware.
Yep.
Hockessin Library is hosting the pod right now. And we can talk about the pod. We can talk about the donation process in general and whatever you want. We're here
Let's
to
start quick
help
with you. Who are you? What's your title? How did you get into this seat now?
Yeah, so I'm Tony Prado. I'm the communication specialist for the Blood Bank of Delmarva for 7 years now.
Wow.
Before that, I was with Newcastle County government for 4 years. And prior to that, I always loved coming back to Hockessin because I worked at the Hockessin Community News, which isn't around anymore, but that's okay. We have good memories. I was here for 11 years as a reporter.
Wow.
So it's always great to come back to Hockessin and see the locals. And so that's me. I'm a local
Delaware guy. Sally's grad.
Class of 90, Generation X, baby.
Nice.
And University of Delaware. Go Delaware. And Delaware is where I got the writing bug, started writing for the student newspaper, and that led to communications. So
I love that. We have 3 agents on our team that are Sally's grads. One's an intern, so 2 agents, 1 intern. And then I think almost all of us are Blue Hens, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Go Delaware.
Yeah, we're all Blue Hens. So you're in good company on our team. So awesome. Love what you're doing. Quick background on me. So we're real estate agents, and I actually give blood often.
Thank you.
I'm super passionate about giving blood. So when Joanna Arat, who is also here, she works with the blood bank as well. She reached out and asked to do collab on our pod at the pod. And it was a no-brainer for me because I'm super passionate about giving blood. I just thought this was a great opportunity for us and super excited to collaborate with you guys.
Thank you. And, we could talk about it more, but you are an elite company being a blood donor.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. For me, the reason I give blood is I go through periods of my life where I have a lot of time that I can give to nonprofits or organizations or boards, etc. And then I have periods in my life where I can't. I'm super busy. I'm a mom. I have 2 kids. It's a lot going on. And to me, this is such a simple thing that I can do to just give back to my community.
You are absolutely
it's so
right.
simple.
I'm in the same boat as you, and I'm going to use the words of one of our platelet donors, Peter Edinburgh, South African, since relocated to America. I once asked him, why does he donate? And he's like, well, I don't have a lot of time to donate my time in the community and volunteer. Yeah. So I donate blood, and it's my get out of jail free card. And that's the same boat as me. I'm not a little league coach or anything like that. I do a little stuff in church, but This is it, baby. This is donating blood is the easy way to give back to your community in a very powerful way.
I love it. And financially, like, I can't give a lot of money to these places, right? Like, but this is something I can give
That's
and I
true.
can make a difference. It's tough. Like, I'm not in the, I'm not writing big checks these days. Someday maybe.
Yeah.
But this is, I don't know. It's just such an easy way to give back. And something Joanna told me when we got here is that, and we'll kind of get into all the things you guys are doing. But I think one of the things she mentioned that's really cool is when you give blood here to Blood Bank of Delmarva, it's staying in our community.
That's right. We are charged as the nonprofit locally with providing all blood products to 19 hospitals in the Delmarva Peninsula. That's the entire state of Delaware and the eastern shore of Maryland, which runs from Elkton down to Ocean City, Maryland, and give or take, and then also that little sliver of Virginia known as the eastern shore of Virginia. All those hospitals get their blood from us. So when you donate with us, it's going to a local hospital, which is great.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So you never know. It could be someone in your life or yourself that needs blood, and you're, it's people that we know. It's people we're walking by in the grocery store that are going to be using this. So tell me about the blood donation process. Let's start there. So someone that's never done this before, maybe they've thought about it or, they've considered it. What does the process look like to someone that doesn't have no idea, they've never done this before?
Yeah, it's a great question, Mary Kate. And, just to go back to what I was saying about you being an elite company. We're members of America's Blood Centers. They ran the numbers. 62% of the population in the United States is eligible to donate blood. That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's a majority, right?
Yeah.
Guess how many of them actually donate?
I couldn't even guess. I'm terrified to know.
3%.
Yeah, I was going to say 10. 3 scary.
I mean, you're being generous.
Yeah.
And that's where we have our work cut out for us, right?
Yeah.
And so let's say you finally take the leap to donate blood. There's a couple things you want to do. You want to, a day or two before you come in for your appointment, you're going to want to make sure you're eating well, like, a little more than usual. Like they tell you that steak and potatoes, green leafy vegetables are high in iron, and that's going to get you through the hump known as the hemoglobin check. They're going to check your iron level, and you want to be at least 13 as a man and 12 and a half as a woman. So eating foods like that are going to give you a head start. I've also talked to a number of blood donors that have taken iron supplements.
Mm-hmm.
You see the Nature's Bounty iron pills in the drugstore, and you see the red cells on the label. And with good reason. They do work. I can attest to that personally. And so you also want to start hydrating very well a day or two before.
That's my number one thing. I do.
So if somebody like me, I drink a lot of coffee. I'm terrible when it comes to drinking a lot of water. So I always have to force myself to drink more than I usually do. Water, that is, or other things like milk, just to get prepared for the blood donation process. Because I'm a regular blood donor, I can speak knowledgeably about this, like you, Mary Kate.
Yep.
And you also want to make sure that the day of that you're feeling healthy and well, no cold or flu-like symptoms, no fever. That's a deal breaker. We'll ask you to come back at a later time when you are symptom-free after about a couple weeks. And those are all the basics that you have to do to prepare. And we ask that you make an appointment, just because the more you can prepare, the better. So if you have a good idea of the appointments you have for today, that then opens it up to the next level, which is walk-ins. It's hard to turn away walk-ins in this business. We don't want to do it. So for the most part, we take walk-ins. The only time we say no is if we're super swamped and we don't want you to wait for an hour.
Right, because then you'll have a bad experience and you'll never come back.
Exactly. Right. And I've seen it happen, and it's not a pleasant experience. So those are all the basics.
And let me say, the online portal to book in advance is very easy. And something I've experienced, like I usually get an email, hey, your blood's low, or the need for your blood is high right now. I'll get an email, or I'll get an email that says, hey, we haven't seen you in a couple months or whatever. I click the link, I open up my portal, and it's very easy to book an appointment.
Yeah, and you're talking about delmarvablood.org.
Yeah.
That's delmarvablood.org. That's a great way to do it. You can also call 1-888-8-BLOOD-8. There's a lot of 8s in there to make it easy to remember with the word blood. And those are the best ways to make an appointment. And and we'll try to remind you, send emails and texts.
Yep. And sometimes I get calls. I'll get friendly call reminders because they know I come in. They know, and I see the number come up and I answer because I'm always like, oh wow, it has been. I start to, when was the last time I was there? It has been 6 weeks, right?
What's your blood type?
I think I'm an A. I don't know off the top of my head. I should know this.
A positive is a good bet because
I'm pretty sure
the
I'm A
second
positive.
most common in America.
Yeah, I'm pretty positive I'm A positive.
Yeah.
I should double check that. I should know. I just have a horrific memory. And it says it in
I'm
my
B
emails.
negative. I'm a little more rare.
That's more rare. And O, why is the O? I know we said that type O is needed. Why is that?
So type O blood, and it doesn't matter if it's O positive or O negative. Those are the two most sought after blood types at hospitals, and with good reason. So O negative is famously known as the universal donor. O negative can go to anybody, usually safely, regardless of their blood type, because it's a universal blood type. It's compatible with whether you're A positive, B negative, A negative, O positive. It doesn't matter. It's 7% of the population, but we tend to over-collect. We're closer probably to collecting 10% of our blood supply being O negative. Mm-hmm. It's that important.
Wow.
But it can only go so far. So it's reserved for emergency room and traumas, and also we always have to remember it's also for O negative patients themselves.
Right.
They're the universal donor, but they can only get O negative.
Wow.
O positive is actually the most sought after blood type. Number one, it's the number one blood type in America. And so it's the most common. It's also got a lot of versatility. O positive can go to anyone who is Rh positive. And believe it or not, in a one-time emergency situation, it can go to, like, if they had no choice, there was no O negative blood on the shelf, they could give it to an O negative person and they'd be okay. And just like it's a roll of the dice a little bit, but we have a wonderful program now statewide. Newcastle County paramedics, Kent County paramedics, and Sussex County paramedics carrying what's called low titer whole blood, and it's O positive in the field. They can go to the scene of a bad car accident,
wow.
and if you're bleeding to death in the car still, they can transfuse you and save your life.
Wow.
And they're using
awesome.
O positive, and the reason why they do that, 85% of the population is Rh positive. So it's chances are it's going to be compatible. But even in the case if you're not, Rh negative or I'm sorry, Rh positive. If you're Rh negative, regardless of blood type, chances are the O positive is going to help you. It's better than nothing. And the key is the type O. The O means zero antigens on the blood, and that's why the doctors love it the most. It's going to cut down on reactions. And so regardless of whether you're Rh positive or Rh negative, the paramedics can safely give you O positive blood in the field. And low titer means, I like to say in layman's terms, it's like a synonym of O negative.
Wow. Okay.
So I just want to say though, now that the paramedics have this statewide, that means we have more mouths to feed,
right.
and so to speak, and
so
we need to get more people to donate blood. So if you don't know if you're O positive and you can help out, just donate blood. We'll tell you your blood type for free.
Wow. I love that. So someone that's never done this before, now we know why it's important. Now we know we can very easily book this in advance. We can walk in, not preferred, but we can walk in. What does the experience look like to someone that's never given blood before? What does it look like from the moment they walk through the door?
So the pod is a great example of how to describe it. This is welcome to the state-of-the-art way to donate blood. And I can talk a little bit more about how it came here to Delaware. But when you walk in the door, you're going to come to the registration desk and you're going to check in. They need your license or your state ID, first and foremost, just so they can verify who you are. And you're going to get registered. You're going to be given a tablet that has a series of medical questions that are there. It's a pre-screening. And it's meant to make sure that's step number one to making sure the blood supply is safe. And it's almost like an FBI interrogation. Some of the questions are rather intense, as you know.
Yeah.
Right, Kate? And
are you pregnant? Have you traveled out of the country? Questions like that.
Have you been locked up in detention for any given amount of time?
Right.
Things like that. It gets intense, but it's for the safety of the blood supply. Once you get through that and you turn your iPad back in, or your tablet, I should say, you're going to go to one of the donor screening areas where we're going to go to the next level. They're going to check your blood pressure. Mm-hmm. They're going to check your pulse rate. We want to make sure your blood pressure is not too high, not too low, just where it needs to be. We're going to check your pulse rate. You can get away with a 99 to, and lower pulse rate, but once it gets to 100 or above, so make sure that you weren't like running a marathon before you come and donate blood,
right?
Because they're gonna that's one of the things they're gonna check. We're also going to check your, as I said earlier, your hemoglobin level. That's probably the worst part for me.
100%. I say this every time. They prick your finger. And for me,
prick your finger.
That hurts more. That little finger prick hurts more than
you got
the
so many
actual
nerves
needle.
on your fingertips. So it's just like,
Yep.
it's a split second.
So quick.
You'll survive. I promise you. You know, as Mary Kate and I can attest, we're here talking to you right now.
Yeah.
And they're going to ask you a couple more questions. Make sure that you didn't take any drugs that will defer you from donating that day. The easiest way to answer the prescription question is you'd be surprised how many medicines you can take and still donate blood.
Right. Okay.
But there's a couple on the list that are a deal breaker.
You just want to be safe.
And we'll find out during that medical screening. It's kind of like a mini physical.
Yeah.
Which is great because there's people that I've talked to that donate blood that
haven't been to the doctor.
They found out that they needed to go see the doctor. And they found out some things about themselves.
So you're doing them a favor.
Exactly. It's a win-win. They found out they were anemic, or
right,
and needed to.
Or they needed iron. Yeah.
Have that addressed. And then once you get through all that and everything is hunky dory, you end up in the donor chair like we're sitting in right now.
Yeah. And it's very relaxing. You sit back.
Yeah.
You chill. I use this as my what I'll call scroll time. I just sit and scroll and watch the dumbest content on my phone I possibly can, and I don't feel bad about it because I'm doing something so good.
Yes.
So I'm like, I can watch a stupid YouTube video, something that's making me dumber by the second, but it's like it's my time to just do whatever. I'm not working during this time. I'm very much in my
Dumb and
zen.
Dumber is one of my favorite films of all time.
Right.
And Dumb and Dumberer is just as good.
So now we're in the chairs. We're in these comfy chairs. You come in, you sit down, you're at the comfy chairs. What happens next?
So this is where the pinnacle of your experience happens.
Right.
We tell people that it's going to take an hour, give or take, to come in, donate blood, and sometimes you're out of here sooner than that, maybe 45 minutes on a good day.
Yeah.
But the pinnacle is going to occur when you actually donate blood in the donor chair. But there's a couple of things that still have to happen before that occurs. Like the blood collection tech, which is what we call our phlebotomist, they're going to put a blood pressure cuff on you. And they do that. They pump up your arm because that's going to make it easier for them to find your vein.
Yeah.
And so first of all, they have to find a vein. They'll look at one arm or two arms. If they find one arm a little difficult, they're going to look at the second arm. And once they find a vein, they're going to mark it with a little small metal tool that it's funny.
Circle.
Some people think that's the beginning of the donation process, and it's still preliminary. They mark your vein, and that's X marks the spot. That's the spot that the phlebotomist is going to aim for. But she's, he or she is not done. Now they're going to give you an iodine scrub, and the phlebotomist is going to ask you, "Are you allergic to iodine?" Just to make sure that you're not going to have a negative reaction.
Yep.
And they're going to do 2 scrubs on your arm, and after that dries for a little bit, now the moment of truth has come, and the phlebotomist is going to execute the venipuncture, which is what we call the needle stick. And 99 times out of 100, everything goes well. The needle goes in, and now we're flowing.
Yep.
And we're filling up that blood bag. And don't be afraid by the blood bag and the fact that there's 4 bags. We're only going to fill up 1, I promise, with a pint of blood. The other 3 bags are when we're going to separate your blood into its components of red cells, plasma, and platelets. And the actual donation process, the phlebotomist is going to ask you to maintain blood pressure and squeeze
a ball.
I forget, stress ball.
Yep.
And some people, I saw a lady in Easton, Maryland yesterday that she was going for a personal record, and she didn't make it by about 30 seconds. She finished in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's quick.
5.5 minutes.
It's quick.
And some people do it in 6. The maximum is 15 minutes. So you're not going to be actually donating blood for more than 15 minutes, I promise you. And once you're done, the alarm will go off, and we're not going to take more. The machine will not allow you to donate more than 1 pint maximum.
Right.
And the phlebotomist will then disengage the needle, discard it, and get you bandaged up. And they always tell me I need to keep it on for 4 to 6 hours, clean and dry. And
Mine falls off way before then.
I'm not going to keep. I can't make you any promise.
No, yeah.
I hate the way they feel.
Yeah.
But I know it's necessary. Just between you and me, I usually take it off within 2 hours.
But I like to wear it as like a badge of honor, like walking around like
that's what
my
I try to
little
remember.
trophy, like, hey, look at me, I gave blood.
Yeah. I tell you what, I think about the reason why I got into donating blood. I would see my dad come home with the bandage on his arm, and I'd be like, "Dad, what'd you do?" And he's like, "I donated blood, son."
Wow.
And I was like, "Why?" because it's a good thing to do.
Aw.
And so I'm with you, Mary Kate.
I love that.
I try to keep it on
Yep.
per directions,
Show it
per
off.
instructions, and show it off.
Yeah, badge of honor.
And then the best part happens.
The best part.
The phlebotomist tells you to go over to the cafe and have your juice and cookies.
The best.
I personally, I always go for the Pepsi. You can also have
I always go
coffee
for apple juice.
at a lot of places.
Yeah.
And we have potato chips in
I always do
addition to all
chips
the
and apple
cookies.
juice. And I try to eat healthy, and now I've had 2 children. My diet and lifestyle has changed significantly. But before I had children, I did not eat like anything bad. I was like very, very clean eating.
Yeah.
So that was like my big treat. Like, I'm gonna have an apple juice. I'm gonna have some chips. I'm gonna eat whatever.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat junk. Like, that was a big treat for me. So just find the positive in all this.
Yeah, you earned it. And
Yes.
I'm not shy when I go to the cafe.
Eat it up.
I'm like, I'll have like 3-4 things to eat.
Yeah, and they give you a timer, and they basically watch you. Let's make sure they don't pass out. Let's make sure there's no reactions, right?
Exactly.
Anything
Well
crazy.
done.
Someone's sitting there and watching you.
And we ask people to stay 15 minutes if they can. And I see some people cheat and they'll leave a little
Right.
early, but you can tell they know themselves
Yes,
and they know what
they've
they're
done it
doing,
before.
and they're fine.
Yeah.
And so that's the long and short of it right there.
Mm-hmm.
And what's great about the pod is all of that is contained in this structure that
Yes.
you and I are in right now, Mary Kate.
Right.
And that's why we call it the state-of-the-art way of donating blood, because this can be set up anywhere in the Delmarva Peninsula that we serve.
Yeah.
I mean, some place like Hockessin Library is not some place that we typically go to.
Right.
And I can tell you several people from Hockessin donate in our Christiana Donor Center in the Newark area, including my good friends Cindy and Joe Amon, who come regularly by, when they're down in that area. And so we thought bringing the pod to Hockessin was a no-brainer.
Yeah, I agree.
And we've had success in other places like Tanger Outlets.
Yep.
Tanger Outlets was just to say real quick, was exciting because people still miss to this day the storefront we used to have there.
Yeah.
Next to the Oshkosh Bagosh.
Wow.
And they're like, why did you leave? Like, well, it's not something we wanted to do. We had to leave.
Yeah.
But it was great to come back because of the pod.
Yeah.
And we also had success at Salisbury University and Ocean City Outlets, and now here in
So how long are we
Hockessin.
here? How long are we in Hockessin?
So we are here not too much longer. We're only here through, I believe, the end of the week.
End of next week,
And the next week, sorry.
which is the 20th? 21st. So we are here
21st of
until December 21st. And are we mostly doing walk-ins? Do we still encourage people to book an appointment?
Definitely, we're accepting any walk-ins that will come in. It's been a little slow at Hockessin Library, to be completely
All right, so here's
honest
our
with you.
challenge. Here's our challenge. So we're going to post this week. So hopefully, let's give ourselves a little challenge. That Life on the Ave. Let's hope that we spike your donors next week, which will be your last week in Delaware.
That's
at
right.
the pod.
That is correct.
Yeah, so I'm
I love it.
challenging you, all our Delaware listeners. Let's get out here all next week. And this can be the one thing that you do to give back this holiday season. Maybe you don't have the funds, to make a big donation or donate a ton of toys or do anything like that. But this is a zero financial commitment. This is something that you can do at this holiday season to give back to your local community.
Yeah, that's a constant battle for us this time of year. As you nailed it, Mary Kate. The holiday time, Christmas, New Year, it's the time of giving. It's the giving season.
Yeah.
And if you want to do something that gives back to your community in a powerful way, I suggest donating blood. It is going to save lives,
Yeah,
literally
save
and
lives.
you're going to feel good about yourself
Yes.
that you did something so profound. The fact of the matter is we have some very smart scientists and the white lab coats trying to work on it, but we're not even close to producing blood synthetically.
Right.
An artificial substitute. In my personal opinion, it probably will never come. The scientists might disagree with me. They're still working hard at it, but it only comes from the human body, folks.
Yeah.
So donors like yourself and myself, Joanna, Arat, that's the only way that we can get the blood products that hospitals need, whether it's packed red cells, platelets, plasma, or the new initiative with the whole blood that's being used out in the field by local paramedics throughout the state, and also into southern Chester County paramedics, by the way. They're carrying red cells. And so we have expanded actually into not just the entire state of Delaware, but also into southeastern Pennsylvania. So this is a time of year where you can give back to your community in a powerful way. But also, we realize people are busy.
Yeah.
Like you said,
Yeah.
It's the holidays.
The hustle and bustle.
People, you got to prepare for family gatherings. You're trying to do your Christmas shopping. There's so many things distracting us and keeping us busy. And our challenge is to just try to remind people that the need for blood does not take a holiday.
No.
To use a British term. and that's the
And if
that's
anything,
the challenge
it
this time of year.
increases. And that, if anything, it increases. That's one thing in the notes that I talked about earlier. Like you actually have more of a need during the holidays. Tell us about that. People are traveling. People are making, maybe crazier decisions that land them in the hospital.
I mean, the fact of the matter is we do see a downward trend in donors when it comes to, December, early January, and when we're getting into the dead of winter. And it's just a fact of life. People are going to hunker down. They're going to hibernate more in the dead of winter. They're very busy at this time of year preparing for the holidays. And also, I remember we like to do a blog and a newsletter that comes out every month.
Yeah.
And I remember doing a story about a gentleman who found out on Christmas Day that he had leukemia.
Oh, my goodness.
So, I mean, that's a bummer. That's not the best way to spend your holiday. Here's the good news, though. Because of the generosity of people who donate blood on a regular basis, he was able to get the blood products he need, which is crucial when you're battling blood cancer. You got to replace the bad blood with good. And you're also going to go through chemotherapy, that's going to take a lot out of you as well.
Sure.
That's going to kill red cells and platelets that have to be replaced. So those are the main reasons why it's more challenging this time of year. We just came off a 3-week blood emergency, actually, because we saw things slowing down even before Thanksgiving in November. And so the blood emergency was declared, I want to say November 11th. I remember it was a Monday, and it lasted for 3 weeks. And the good news is we did fairly well.
Good.
We were able to end that blood emergency early December. And so now,
what is a blood emergency? We don't have enough in their supply. What does that look like?
So we measure our inventory in terms of days or a week. 7-day supply or 7-day inventory is ideal. That's optimal. I mean, that's if you have 7 days worth of all the blood types, you're doing fantastic.
That still doesn't sound like enough.
Believe it or not, it is a perishable product, so it only lasts for so long. So 7 days has been determined by the mathematicians to be the best.
When you give blood, it's being
inventory
given to a person that needs it within 7 to 10 days. Like, would you say? How quickly from donation is it being used?
I mean, I would say a lot of the blood we collect is going out well before a 7-day period. Sometimes,
that's wild.
Sometimes, as soon as it's been tested and deemed to be safe,
weeks.
It's going out the door to the hospitals.
I didn't realize it was that fast.
They're all constantly ordering up and down the state throughout the Delmarva Peninsula, and then something like a bad car accident happened on I-95, or there's a shooting in the city, whatever the case may be. Then you see like a real uptake in usage, and that can wipe out some of your blood types in a single night. Yeah. So those are some of the things that we're up against.
Wow.
So when we get to answer your question, when we get to a 3 and lower, 3 to 1 day supply of any of our blood types, sometimes it's been 0, I hate to say, then that's when you pull the trigger and call a blood emergency. You have no choice because you have to ask people to step up and help. The good news is, as we just saw with this blood emergency, which was essentially the third and final one for the year 2024, which it's crazy. We're coming to the end, right?
I know.
That'll be the last emergency we declare. People step up, and they.
Good.
The bad news is we hate to be the boy who cried wolf.
Right.
You hate to do it
all the time. Yeah.
Right.
It's so tough.
Here's the good news. There were 3 this year, 5 the previous year.
Wow. So we're
it got a little better, right?
Good.
And collections actually did increase, which was a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
And that's good because you never want to tell the hospitals no.
Right.
Like if you talk to our medical director, Dr. Bruce Sakis, when things get critically low, then we start to have conversations with hospital about. It's kind of like a triage.
Picking
okay, like which one of the patients really needs it, and which ones can hold off.
Yes.
That's kind of scary.
Yes,
right?
terrifying.
So and that's what
we're trying to
predicates a blood emergency.
Yeah. Well, I think things like the pod hopefully help, and hopefully, even if this podcast just brings one extra person to the pod next week, like it's a success for us. Like
Amen.
we always say, as long as our events have one person, as long as our, one podcast affects one person, like for us, it's worth it.
Amen. I mean, it's first of all, it's always great to see first time and new donors to Blood Bank of Delmarva come. And I saw a few of those I'm proud to say, at my alma mater this morning at Salesianum
Good. Yeah. So
School.
you came from a blood drive this morning.
Yes, I did. And it was packed.
Good. And are these students or alums or teachers?
Mostly
who's doing
students.
It? Mostly students.
But
so you're seniors.
There was a couple. There was a good amount of juniors, because now 16 is the minimum age to donate blood.
That's awesome.
So you might even see a couple sophomores now.
Wow.
That was one smart thing we did last year, was lowering the minimum age from 17 to 16. That opened up the door for a whole new group of donors to come in. And you're seeing it at blood drives like Salesianum. I saw it also at Archmere and St. Mark's.
And Ursuline's is on Monday.
And Ursuline is coming up as well. So I expect Ursuline to be just as fantastic as those other blood drives I just mentioned. And the 16-year-olds, when you meet a 16-year-old, you're like, okay, you're definitely donating for the first time. Chances are. Yeah. And hopefully they have a good experience, and we're going to capture them for the rest of their life. And
my first blood donor experience was at Ursuline. It was my senior year. And I had a great experience. I mean, I was literally in my high school gym, the same place I played basketball and volleyball, and it was a very comfortable experience. I had a great experience, and it's a testament to why I still give today.
That's great. And you're better than me. Like when they came to Sally's, when I was there,
Too scared.
Just never did it, I'm ashamed to say. And I did try at the University of Delaware, and I got deferred. So it wasn't until I was a young professional, that I finally did it. But I remembered my dad inspiring me to do it, and I finally pulled the trigger. And I'm so glad I did it, because it just makes your life more fulfilling to be able to be an active member of your community. You know, we can't just be a consumer-driven society where we take and take and take. We have to remember to give back. Yeah. And this is a powerful way to do it, like you said, Mary Kate. And donating blood is just the easy way to stay tapped into your community.
Yeah, don't let it be something that you don't understand until you need it, right? Like, be proactive about it.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said. You never know when you or a family member or a friend is going to need it. Right. And I've learned so much in the last 7 years with Blood Bank of Delmarva about the different ways people need blood, whether it's cancer, traumatic injury, or some other illness. One of the more interesting, different stories I did was a young man named Jackson, who he was given a blood called albumin at Nemours, and that's made from the plasma of several different donors. And for whatever reason, his plasma was failing him. They replaced his plasma with albumin, and he was just fine. Wow. It was amazing. Wow. And there's just something magical about blood.
Helping a kid too.
Like I said earlier, it can't be replicated in a lab. I mean, it's the human body is very complicated and wonderful. It's incredible. And being able to donate blood, like, I'm one of those people that's too chicken still to sign up as an organ donor. It's just a morbid concept to me.
I'm an organ
donor. I have no problem donating blood though,
Yeah.
which is a tissue.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Crazy. Well, I think, as you said, it's the season of giving, and I definitely challenge our listeners, whether it be next week, whether it be, before the end of the year, or even, put it on your goals for 2025 as something that you can try. And you can give every 6 weeks, right?
Every 8 weeks.
8 weeks.
Every 56 days.
So you can give, so what's that, 6 times a year?
Close to it. 5 to 6 times is generally the maximum that you can donate blood. And we have donors like that, believe it or not.
Before I had children, I was as soon as I hit I thought it was 6 weeks, 8 weeks, I was right back in. So it's a little more challenging to schedule for me, not an excuse. But
it's okay.
But yeah, I was definitely like that every 8 weeks person.
Some of our colleagues nationally tell us that if everybody who was eligible to donate, that's 62% of the U.S. population, if they just donated twice a year, we'd probably never have shortages.
Wow. So let's put that on your to-do list. Twice next year. I challenge our listeners, twice next year.
Make it a New Year's resolution.
Let's give. Yeah, make it your New Year's resolution. Put it on the list. So what do you want to leave us with? Anything else that, people will tag you guys on everything, Blood Bank Delmarva. What would you like to leave our listeners with, ending up this podcast?
I think it's fitting to say that, here we're sitting in the pod, which is our state-of-the-art way of donating blood. And I think that the pilot, this is a pilot program by our parent company, New York Blood Center. It started in New York, went to Rhode Island Blood Center, our colleagues at, RIBC, and then it came down here to Delaware. And I think that it has been a success.
Good.
And I hope that they'll take note of that and decide that the pilot is something that they want to incorporate into our operations permanently.
Good.
It's a lovely structure. It gets people's attention.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. It's like state of the art. This is stunning.
Yes. Thank you. And with the one exception being, Hokuston Library, for whatever reason, it hasn't been as busy as the other places it's been to, but it's been a success for the most part.
Good.
And
well, we're hoping to change that next week.
Yeah.
Positive thinking.
Exactly. And thank you for having us. It's been exciting to be on the podcast.
Good. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. This is another awesome episode of Life on the Ave. I challenge you all to give blood next week and beyond. And thank you so much, Tony, for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.